Buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. We should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the Strait will open up because of our drill baby drill program. America has plenty of gas. We have so much gas. Under my leadership, we are #1 producer of oil and gas on the planet, without even discussing the millions of barrels that we're getting from Venezuela. Because of the Trump administration's policies, we produce more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Think of that, Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And that number will soon be substantially higher than that.
And that's President Trump last night addressing the nation on Operation Epic Fury, urging allies to buy U.S. energy and even take action to secure their own supplies in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices are higher this morning. Brent crude up about 8%, and crude oil is up more than 10% right now, 10.75% higher on crude oil at 110.81. Joining me now is Continental Resources founder and chairman Harold Hamm. Harold, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I want to get your take on the president's address last night, in particular, what he just said about the U.S.'s capacity and the fact that the U.S. is producing more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. That right there tells you that American energy is, in fact, the backbone of energy security. Your reaction?
Yes, I did hear it, and certainly the president is correct. America is certainly the most secure oil market in the world. I've heard recently that there were some countries that were dependent as much as 92 or 3% on oil coming through the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, obviously, that's not a good business plan and hadn't been, for a long time. Huge risk. Every one of us have known that for a very long time, and now it's come home to roost for sure. But I heard the president, and it was good for him to remind Americans where we are. It all started with horizontal drilling. The last 30 years, last 3 decades, it was pioneered right here in Oklahoma City and brought it to the world. We now have the cheapest oil. We've lowered energy costs for every single person on the planet. So that's what we have. Taken the world from an era of scarcity to an era of abundance. Yet here we are with this logistics problem, if you will, at the Strait of Hormuz. So anyway, that's where we're at today.
Well, let's talk about that, because this tanker traffic situation continues pretty much at a standstill in that key oil waterway, the Strait, keeping supply fears front and center for global energy markets. Harold, what are the answers here? I mean, there is another pipeline in Saudi Arabia in the Red Sea. Can that pick up some of this? What can the U.S. do to pick up some of this? How do you get the market to understand that the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranians should not be dominating and holding hostage the global economy by shutting down this waterway?
Maria, here's just one more act of aggression that Iran is putting on the world. And so it shouldn't surprise anybody. This has been the home of terrorist activity, terrorism for 47 years. They've killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. What more should we expect of these guys? So, yeah, it's certainly a bad situation there. But this is international waters. They have no legal claim to this at all. They're trying to take advantage of a situation that's just geographical. We can't allow them to do it. We can't allow them to be in control of the Strait of Hormuz now or in the future. So we have to take action, and certainly shouldn't do it alone. The president's right. I mean, this is for NATO. My goodness, Europe's the one hurting for oil. When you look around the world, just yesterday, physical barrel of diesel, physical barrel was $100 premium over the paper cost. So we're talking $200 a barrel for diesel yesterday in Singapore. So that's what's going on. $100 oil is not going to wreck our economy. We're energy independent here in America. We certainly are. And thank goodness, you know, for the energy and renaissance that we've created. But $200 oil can certainly be a shock to the world economy. So that's what we had to protect against. But not only now, we take control, and we've already got people coming in. I heard recently the UAE and the Saudis were going to help, and certainly UK and everybody in Europe needs to help, NATO, and get back in control of the Strait and remain in control of it from now on.
So what you're saying is the president needs to finish the job and accept the help of some of the other Middle Eastern nations. I mean, this has turned into something of a regional war as the Iranians lash out at Saudi and the UAE. It's surprising and certainly disappointing that you don't see the Europeans front and center the way you have officials from the UAE and Saudis appearing to be ready to help.
Well, that's correct. And the president has said this a long time. I mean, NATO, we can't carry NATO forever. And he's exactly correct about that. So they have to step up and do their part, and they need to hear for sure. And basically, they're going to be forced to. And so that's where that's at. But yeah, it's a situation. I think oil will come back down. Oil prices will moderate again, and we should expect that. But let's talk a little bit about the pundits. We'll call them the economists, some of which have been on this show, and talk $40 oil, $40 to $50 oil. You know, that's price. That is not a sustainable world price of oil. It's just not. You know, the average cost of supply is much higher than that. I heard Bob Donald mention $72. You're going to have to get back in that range to stay in it if we're going to have a oil supply that's going to meet the world's needs. And it's vital. It's vital. We're using 108 million barrels a day, every day in the world. And, you know, it takes a lot of investment to make that happen. So anyway, we've done our part here in America. And the President mentioned LNG, natural gas. My gosh, we do have a lot of it. And you know, when you look at what's happened just the last 10 years, being able to supply our allies and much of the world with LNG, that's terrific. And we got a great deal of supply here to do that with.
It sounds like you don't expect oil in the $40 a barrel range anytime soon, certainly not in 2026, Harold.
No, it's not going to happen. You know, you shouldn't expect that. You shouldn't expect it.
Right.
And I think we're doing a disservice when we talk about it. You know, talk about $40 oil, $50 oil.
Sure.
It's below the average cost of supply, and it just doesn't work. You know, that's not the way economics work. You have to get paid back for your investment. So that's what it is. And let's talk a little bit about China and Asia, and I mentioned Singapore and how they're hurting there for supplies in Asia.
Sure.
And you know, the Chinese aren't worried about this. You know, when oil was cheap, you know, $60 oil, they were buying, building a supply right now, 1.2 billion barrels, going to 2 billion barrels.
Wow.
You know, we encouraged refilling our SPR when it was cheap, and we kind of missed an opportunity there, but the president was for it. You know, Congress has to work and make that happen. But after Biden drained it for political reasons, we need it refilled, and
that's right,
for America's interest.
Harold, it's great to get your insights as always. We so appreciate your time this morning, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. It's always good to be on your show.
Harold Hamm joining us from Continental Resources. We'll be right back with a look at nuclear.